Hi everyone, I'm Abby, and in this video we're going to look at a little something I like to call Kara's abs, because my dear friend Kara, who's a brilliant chiropractor, taught it to me. So we're going to look at Kara's abs, and then we're going to move into a block trap, which is fun and involves one yoga block or something similar. So if you have a yoga block, you can gather it up. Otherwise, you don't need anything but your body. So find a spot on the ground where you can lay down. I usually like to pad my back a little bit, especially if you have scoliosis or lopsided ribs. You may also enjoy padding your back. So we'll start out on our backs with knees bent, and I want to make sure that if I'm laying on a blanket, that everything from my tailbone up to my head is padded with the blanket. My feet are on a sticky mat. And then from there, I'm gonna, before I even lift my feet off the ground, I'm gonna tilt my pelvis backward a little bit. So rocking it back, flattening my low spine, and then rock it forward. Even if you have some spinal fusion, which I have quite a bit of spinal fusion, there's likely still a little bit of movement in there. So don't force it, but just notice that you can rock a little forward and rock a little back if you still have some movable vertebrae. So then rocking your pelvis back, or at least really engaging these muscles in the front of your belly, your vertical abs, your six pack. Engage those lightly, feeling your pubic bone draw towards your low ribs, and then holding that engagement, lift your feet off the ground so that your shins are about parallel to the ground and about parallel to each other. So here I'm gonna have to work a little harder to engage these muscles, pressing my lower back towards the ground. It might be on the ground, it might not. If you have scoliosis, you might have one side that's on the ground and one side that's not. That's okay. So using that, those vertical abs, keeping that, and then take your fingertips to your hip points, the little bony parts right in the front of your pelvis. You may be able to feel them. You might just kind of have an idea of where they are. Walk your fingertips in just a little bit and poke. Those are the muscles I want you to try to engage next. Those are your horizontal abs, or transversus abdominis. So imagine that you could use those muscles to pull your hip points towards each other. Ugh. As I do that, I feel my stomach or my belly kind of pull in a little bit with some strength, and my low back press even more firmly to the ground. Okay, here comes my favorite part. Two favorite parts. I'll reach my hands towards the sky like a monkey with cymbals. Maybe clap for yourself if you need a little positive encouragement. As I reach my hands towards the sky, palms facing each other, shoulder blades are going to be a little bit wider. Ooh, my upper belly is now strongly engaged. Then, this is my favorite part. Imagine you're a cartoon character on the top of a very tall building looking down, and your knees are just a wobbly, shaken mess. So give those legs a shake. Sometimes when I ask people to do that, they do this. Really give the gams a shake. Really let them jiggle. Make it clap. Really shake. What this is doing, whoo, is making sure that my legs, particularly hip flexors, and for me, because I'm an over glute engager, particularly my glutes, are not trying to do the work. So by doing this, I'm ensuring that there's not a whole lot of strengthening going on down here. The strengthening is happening in the core, in the vertical abs and the horizontal abs. Good times. You can stop shaking your legs if they're still shaking. You could, if you want, add a prop to this. So if you have a yoga block, you can get yourself a yoga block. And this is kind of a nice variation because it gives you something to press into. So it gives you a little bit more like a awareness of where your body is and resistance. So if you have a block, you can take it on its longest height for most of us, depending on your height. This works for most, I think. Taking it between your knee and your elbow. Other leg is still bent, foot on the ground. And then I'm going to squeeze this block between my elbow and my knee. As I squeeze it, I'm going to feel some shoulder muscles engage, some hip muscles engage, but I want to focus a little bit more on my core muscles. So it's totally fine and natural for shoulder and hip to engage, but I want you to see if you can also feel core muscles engage. Flattening your low back towards the ground as you pull your belly towards your low spine. Okay, and then try the other side. Block between elbow and knee. And this is a little thing, but I like to not sag my heel towards my butt. I like to keep my forearm and my shin kind of in a line approximately. Gives me a little more power. So again, squeezing the block between elbow and knee. And if you're noticing that most of the energy and work is coming from your shoulder and hip muscles, see if you can find a little bit more strength and awareness in your belly. Press your low belly towards your low spine and really squeeze. Make sure your face can still be relaxed. Your breath can still be moving easily and peacefully. And then that's it. Last variation I'll show with the block trap is that you can do it with the same side, knee and elbow, or as long as it doesn't feel too awkward, you can do it with the opposite arm and leg. So right knee, left elbow, squeezing the block. Same thing, I'm hugging the block between knee and elbow and at the same time hugging my low belly towards my low spine. And I can feel now not just my vertical and horizontal abs, but also my diagonal abs. Oh my God, how many abs do we have? A lot, at least 4. So those are my oblique muscles that I'm now feeling in addition to my rectus abdominis, my six pack, and my transversus abdominis, my horizontal abs. So trying both sides, squeezing opposite knee and elbow towards each other. Low belly draws in. My other foot is just kind of just hanging out and just rooting to the ground. Oh, and then holding the block with the other hand as you release. So I like all of those exercises because if you have a fused spine, you know that it can be really difficult to concentrate on the belly and core without being able to move and flex your spine. So they all involve a little bit of spinal flexion or a little bit of spinal movement. But even if your spine doesn't move a whole lot, you can still feel quite a lot of stuff happening in those muscles. So whether you have a fused spine or not, whether you have scoliosis or not, these can all be really nice ways to target all of the various abdominal muscles that we have.